traveling from far afield and setting aside time in your schedules to be with us. So please do bear that in mind. We really do appreciate your attendance. We look forward to your rich and varied contributions over the next few days. We've hosted a biennial conference since 2014, Accountable Governments and Civil Society across the globe. During the conference, we will be exploring 4 key themes: what it takes to build accountability ecosystems, to improve interaction between people and their governments. We will also look at how to better understand and navigate power relations, meet with your needs for engagement, learning, reflection, and knowledge sharing. The conference will include a keynote address, various plenary panel discussions, breakaway sessions for smaller discussions, alongside a relaxed poster-exhibition session tomorrow. You're encouraged to use the following Twitter handles, or rather hashtags, to share your thoughts and profile the conference. They are hashtag SocialAccountConf 2018 and hashtag Building Accountability. Special thanks. You are surrounded by champions, is facing challenges globally. This is an opportunity to pursue your organizational objectives. A few housekeeping issues. Our breakaways will take place in various, they are an opportunity for you to deepen the discussions that follow from the various panels. Toilets you can find in the corridor as you walk out. The women's toilet is on the right and the men's is near the exit. Our lunch will be served in the La Petite venue, which is on your right as you exit this building. That's it from me. I'd like to then call on
Absheni, Jambo, Sanbonan. A very warm welcome, as Jay has said, to our conference this year. We really look forward to the next day and a bit of engagement and a high ethos of service. It speaks of service that is rendered impartially, fairly, equitably, and without bias. Our speaker this morning is someone who, for me and for everyone, I'm sure, epitomizes those principles. She is also someone that was part of the drafting of the said constitution, which I think is an amazing and democracy, if ever there was one. Time magazine recognized her as the globe's 100 most influential figures in 2014. Forbes has also recognized her in 2016 as the Person of the Year. In her 7-year tenure as the Public Protector of South Africa, her dedication to a tumultuous job was impressive. And I think that's a really kind of valuable lesson and a very pragmatic one. In a 2017 book authored by Thandeka Gubula called No Longer Whispering to Power, a story of Thuli Madonsela, the author writes about the devastating realities of power and politics gone wrong. Through it, we see the reflections of the many socio-political challenges. If we stop worrying about who is going to get the credit or whose job it actually is. She's a recipient of Transparency International's Integrity Award and of several Lifetime Achievement Awards, and also holds several honorary degrees in law, one of which is from Rhodes University, which is our affiliate university. I am therefore sincerely honored and extremely privileged to welcome an incredible leader, an inspiring activist, a defender of truth and human rights, and a woman who has shown us what speaking truth.
Thank you for that very kind introduction, and to the Public Service Accountability Monitor and all of you, dear colleagues, I thank you for the privilege. Dear colleagues, in 4 days we will be commemorating World Democracy Day under the theme Democracy Under Strain, Solutions for Changing the World. It was a decision of the United Nations that World Democracy Day, which falls on the 15th of September, I hear that colleagues in this room come from various countries, and to those who are coming to South Africa from other countries, welcome. And I hope you enjoy the hospitality this beautiful country has to offer to you. When we speak about democracy under strain, you will agree with me that probably in most or some of your countries, democracy is under strain. I must say that our own democracy in South Africa is under strain, a little bit is under strain. But the very fact that we have extremism is because democracy is under strain. If democracy was not under strain, we wouldn't be having extremists opting out of the system. In my view, if we're honest with ourselves, we can identify sorry about that. If we are honest with ourselves, we can identify at least 4 reasons for democracy being under strain. The first one, which I believe are the fact that the richer keep growing much richer, and the poor keep growing much poorer. So that's one reason democracy is under strain. In South Africa, our democracy is under strain also because of discrimination against people with disabilities were some of the contours of social injustice in the past. What we face today, why else is democracy under strain? In my country, corruption is one of the reasons democracy is under strain. On trust between public representatives and the public. But in addition to undermining public trust, you have a problem in that democracy is not working for those that are offered by a democracy go to those with corrupt links. And that obviously doesn't go to those with corrupt tendencies or corrupt links. Then there's service delivery in the public service. That's another reason democracy is under strain, because one of the reasons people become members of a democracy, then hope is undermined and trust in democracy is undermined. And again, in my country, some of the areas where there is leadership are a factor in the strength of democracy. And in our case, the levels of democracy literacy and leadership are not where they were in the past, whether you're talking about traditional democracy or you're talking about Athenian democracy. Add to the reality of democracy is threatened. Add a challenge of some institutions being weak. In our case, some of the institutions have been weakened by problems such as corruption, including state capture. Yes, extremism is one of the factors behind the way they are. In this country, we've had a very vicious campaign in the past year about white monopoly capital waged by a PR company from the United Kingdom. Up to today, we can still feel the impact of that campaign in terms of the race relations in this country. Exploited the fact that we're not moving fast when it comes to poverty and inequality. We talk about inequality being at 50%. We talk about poverty being at 50% generally in the country, and among black Africans being at 64.2%. And an answer though is, can social accountability save democracy? I'm assuming you would like to save democracy. I might be speaking to people who don't want to save democracy, as or Western liberal democracy, so to speak, was not idea. That a dictatorship of the proletariat is participation by all and decision-making by all regarding all affairs of the society. And that's what democracy is. It can be articulated differently. You can see, for example, that there were African forms of democracy, and it's not true that there was no democracy, by the way, in Africa before colonialism. There was then, in that before any decision was made, everyone was called. Not members of political parties. Every villager was called to come and sit either in a kraal or under a tree, and the issue was placed on the table and it was discussed, and once everyone had spoken, the chief or the traditional leader would then summarize what everyone had said and then give their own view. To note that it wasn't through elections. In the 5th century, it was lots. It was you just picked up a name, like a letter. So all the villages would have their names in the box, and somebody would pick that to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to serve in the Council of 500. And then, of course, the Council of 500 would then elect the magistrates and the generals, send you to jail. I mean, today we struggle to send anybody to jail from stealing. From stealing and looting, we struggle to send people to jail. And in Athens, they could just send you to jail for not complying with your mandate. But I'm just saying, sometimes when you criticize democracy, we've discovered at the Tuma Foundation that people criticize the democracy they see, and from epoch to epoch. For example, I am certain that the early adherents to democracy would find our democracy undemocratic and a minority in our country. For example, the governing party has about 1 billion people. I think the EFF has about the same. The DA has even less. So among them, they would select. But once they have sealed, we have no say on who should not be on their list. Once they have sealed, it's take it or leave it. If they've decided that they want so-and-so as their president, that's what was seats for every village. Today, if you look at parliament, you'll find that there might be even some provinces that are overrepresented. A lot of people, therefore, who feel that democracy is not working for them, they become cannon fodder for people who also just want to exploit them. And the question I had to ask was, can social accountability save democracy? And lastly, what can it take to enhance social accountability? Most of you are either in the public service or in NGOs, and you are practitioners in social accountability. I also think that we need to have a common understanding of the meaning of accountability as it relates to democracy and related governmental processes. So what is accountability? And there's also a duty to manage consequences. Managing of consequences might mean that, for example, if they won't correct their own action, somebody else takes action to correct their action. That might be punishment, or that might be asking them to perform some kind of There are, according to the World Bank, there are three and state capture. And the World Bank says all these three phenomena refer to the use of public service, or clientelism, or we're talking about capture. All of them have an element of diversion of public funds. They have an element of, they also have an element of distorting markets, and ultimately they have an element of erosion of public trust. So how do you correct that? What is our solution to these? John Ackerman, the person who identifies these three, says the answer lies in accountability. In strengthened accountability. And how do we exact terms is often reference to what is called the trias politica, where you have parliament check and balance each other. Parliament gets a mandate directly from the people, and then it delegates some of that mandate to the executive and some of that mandate to the judiciary. And as they all serve the people, each one of them corrects Parliament. If the executive is doing something wrong, we can go to the municipal council if it's a municipal issue. In South Africa, you can go to a provincial legislature, and you can also go to Parliament if it's a national parliament and report whoever's